So this might seem pretty strange, but I decided to buy a MacBook Pro. I was in the market for a laptop that would help me get through my job, and since my Razer Blade 14 2015 will maybe stay on for about 2 hours at this point, I needed to get something else. I'm a Windows guy, but I still opted for a MacBook. And not just any MacBook, but the 15-inch 2016 MacBook Pro in 2023. So why would I subject myself to such a thing? This laptop is 7 years old after all. But after trying it out for the past couple of months, I've gotten a different impression. This feels so fresh to me, and I will tell you why I made this decision with both a short overview of this laptop and how I feel about it. So should you do the same thing that I did? Well, let's dive right in. The exterior design is very similar to the more recent 16-inch models with an aluminum unibody design. It feels really sturdy and hefty, but this laptop is so unbelievably thin that it fits anywhere without issues. I bought mine refurbished on eBay for around $400, and mine came with some scratches to the chassis on top, but everything else seems to be just fine regarding the exterior. This laptop features two Thunderbolt 3 ports on the right, along with the headphone jack. On the left, you get another set of Thunderbolt 3 ports. In terms of the exterior design, this laptop has aged very nicely. The MacBooks really have not changed much since 2016, so you would probably look at this one and think that it is a more recent model. Maybe even a 9 model, but that's not the case. This laptop is 7 years old and looks like it fits right at home in 2023 with its super slick design. This display still looks absolutely beautiful. This features a 15.4-inch 2880 by 1800 IPS display that looks incredible even to this day. This display also gets incredibly bright, but is totally usable pretty much everywhere. This is really awesome because this is one of those aspects that has aged incredibly well. So kudos to them here. I would have said this 7 years ago, and this argument still stands today. It's kind of crazy to think that this channel is almost 8 years old, and this laptop came out just a year after I started making YouTube videos. The speakers sound amazing, easily one of the best set of speakers on any laptop. They feature a stereo set and will give you very rich sound coming from a laptop. So have a listen.
Or B-seals from mirror matches. Having three Albas is, in my opinion, the best way to go because, at least for me, I'm always cycling through all three copies of him and making sure that I have ways of recycling him and just guaranteeing myself that I will always have at least one copy available of Albas is extreme.
Now, as for the keyboard and trackpad, the keyboard itself features Apple's super old butterfly switches. These don't have a lot of travel and are definitely harder to type on as a result. They are almost flat, but I don't really mind it too much. I think that this keyboard isn't the best that Apple has designed, and it does have a relatively high failure rate, as we have seen that a lot of people have had issues with this keyboard. But I feel like I still like it. Sometimes I will hit the wrong key by accident, and it does feel like some keys might even stick or not get triggered when I press them while typing quickly, so it is not the best typing experience, and the newer MacBooks are much better in that regard. The touch bar was something that people almost universally disliked, and rightfully so. This replaced the actual function keys and instead it gave you digital function keys. Also, to this day, this isn't that useful. But what I do find useful is the autocorrect feature because I use that a lot, and sometimes, very rarely, I raise the volume and the brightness with this touch bar. I barely use it, but I don't find its existence here to be a nuisance, though I do understand why they removed it. Also, Touch ID on the power button is pretty neat, and I'm glad that they kept that. The trackpad is as good as ever. However, it is a giant trackpad with a lot of room to work around. Gestures are a joy to execute on it as well, which is a very welcome addition. It feels much better than the 2015 one, but it feels almost the same as the 2022 MacBook Pro's trackpad to me. It feels really nice to use, and this is another design that has aged really well. Naturally, it is a solid slab of glass that doesn't actually click or press down, but it does emit haptic feedback when applying enough pressure to simulate a click, and it will even make the clicking sound through the speakers. It still feels like an actual click. this is still a really good trackpad in 2023. Like, seriously. Now let's talk about what it's like to use this laptop on a day-to-day basis. Basic things like browsing the web, a lot of typing, playing music, or watching YouTube and the likes. It doesn't stutter even once. This laptop absolutely flies through it, and it's awesome just how smooth my time with it is. I can definitely get work done on here when I need to, and that's kind of a big deal. I expected a laptop that's this old to give me some issues with always staying steady, but it's been a really smooth experience. No matter what I do, this laptop can handle it. I've had some instances where I am typing for a few hours at a time, and I feel like this laptop just goes through everything just fine. This isn't a crazy stress test or anything like that, as all I'm really doing are just very basic things. But if you wanted an older MacBook for something like this, then you're justified in trying to get one for yourself. I enjoy it. When it comes to creative work like video editing, you've got a really strong performer. I use DaVinci Resolve and have no issues editing in 1080p, so there are still some limitations as I can usually edit in 4K on my main PC, but obviously 1080p and the playback is perfectly fine. I like it. I think that I am pretty comfortable at editing on this laptop. Render times are not going to be that important to me, so admittedly they were slower than I expected, but I am fine with that. I still think that this is a pretty powerful solution for creative work and video editing, but I probably would stay away when it comes to 3D work and game design, because these software can really eat up resources really quickly, and that includes everything that this laptop can currently offer. So let me tell you, let me be specific here. This particular model is the 16 gig model when it comes to the RAM, 256 gigs when it comes to the SSD, and it has an i7 CPU, 4 cores, 8 threads. It's not really that great in terms of specs, but it was pretty good back in the day. So battery life is pretty decent on this laptop. With regular use, I can expect about 7 hours, maybe even 8 if I'm a little bit lucky. But if you're doing some intense work like video editing, then you can expect less for sure. But either way, I always leave my charger at home when I travel with this laptop because I do not need to carry it around. To this day, this battery is still great. So I bought this laptop as a Windows guy. I much prefer Windows over Mac OS, and that hasn't changed with this laptop. But I have grown to at least adjust to the differences in Mac OS. I needed to buy a Mac specifically for work purposes. But I wanted to save money on one, so I started searching for this laptop on eBay and found a great deal on it for just under $400. I've seen a lot of deals on Amazon too. Honestly, I still feel like I bought a much more expensive laptop. This was an absolute steal for that money. Sure, it does have an outdated Skylake i7 CPU, which is a quad-core 8-thread CPU. It only has 16 gigabytes of RAM and the SSD space is small, but none of these things bother me. This laptop still feels very fresh in its performance and in everything that I need it to do. It won't be perfect for video editing, but it will definitely get the job done with DaVinci Resolve if I need it to. So I'm not too concerned. I foresee that I will have a few more years left with this laptop, but just a few, as all hardware eventually dies. Now, because I got this for work, I am fortunate that I can still update this laptop to the latest version of macOS, so it doesn't feel like a compromise really. So, to conclude this video, I have no regrets about my purchase. I think that this was an insane value, and I feel like I more than got my money's worth. I would even encourage you to look at older refurbished models, but wouldn't go any earlier than 2016 because those laptops will definitely start to feel their age once you get them. But with the 2016 model and up, it's going to be when Apple really started making huge changes to their laptops. Changes which can still be felt today with their more recent models. This is a really good device, and I can strongly recommend it. So thank you so much for watching this video all the way up until the very end. I do very much appreciate it. And if you are interested in getting this laptop, links to Amazon down below because they also have some great deals on this machine. So yeah, and if you end up using my link to make a purchase, then you would be helping out the channel quite a bit, which I would appreciate quite a bit for sure, since it does help me be able to buy more review units for the channel. So please make sure to use that if you decide to buy anything on Amazon. And also I do stream every now and then. You're going to find me on Twitch, and I do have an Instagram, so make sure to follow me there too. But with that said, this has been Francisco from Tech Summit. Thank you for watching, and until next time, have a good night. Enjoy.